Hello, and welcome to the Voices in Education. If you're a returning viewer, listener, subscriber, welcome back, welcome back. If you're new to this space, welcome. Voices in Education is a safe space where we share and learn from each other. We do that in a respectful way. So we do not bash anyone, we don't defame anyone, we don't belittle anyone. So we keep it real and respectful. And we understand too that we share different views, all right, different perspectives, and that is totally okay as long as you share those views and perspectives in a respectful way. There's so much richness in diversity, and we understand that too. And so, in that context, we can learn from each other. So, we welcome your varying perspectives and we ask that you keep it real and respectful. Avi, you're here. Hello, and how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing okay, thanks. All right, so welcome, guys. As you enter, please remember to hit the like button, hit the share button, hit the subscription button. All right, let us just continue to grow stronger together. All right, so again, welcome one, welcome all. All right, so happy to have you guys here with us. All right, so we're going to talk about the Integrity Commission's report on Prime Minister Andrew Holness, as well as the fact that Marisa Dalrymple-Philibert is to stand trial in the context of a case regarding, I guess, statutory declarations, again, from the Integrity Commission there. All right, so welcome one, welcome all. So happy to have you guys here with us as we get into this conversation. We're also going to share, a WhatsApp number for you to call us and share, as well as you can join us on Zoom if you'd like to share in this conversation. So we're going to keep it real and respectful. All right, so there are a number of things that I want to share, but perhaps I'm going to start with should we start with the report or Marissa? Perhaps let's start with Marissa's case, and I guess by the time some persons should get in, we'll get to the Prime Minister's, the Integrities Commission's report in the context of the Prime Minister, and we will also share an update in the context of the Integrity Commission as well. So regarding Marisa Dalrymple-Philibert, all right, so the judge ruled, all right, that she should stand trial in the statutory declarations case brought against her by the Integrity Commission. All right, so just a quick update in this context from the Gleaner. The Integrity Commission's case brought against Member of Parliament Marisa Dalrymple-Philibert will proceed to trial. All right. Parish Court Judge Leighton Morris has ruled. Dalrymple-Philibert's attorneys, Peter Champagny and Nico Pagan, had raised preliminary points regarding the charges against the legislator and a possible abuse of power by the Integrity Commission. However, the judge refused their application to dismiss the case in a decision announced in the St. Andrew Parish Court on Friday. The trial date is set for March 31st, 2025, with case management hearing set for February 7, 2025. In September last year, the Integrity Commission ruled that Dalrymple Philibert, a practicing attorney, be slapped with 8 criminal charges for making a false statement in her statutory declaration filings between 2015 and 2021. The charges relate to breaches of the Parliamentary Integrity of Members Act and the Integrity Commission Act and are connected to the purchase of a 2015 Mercedes-Benz, which she omitted from her statutory declarations for 6 years, and the controversial use of a 20% duty concession to purchase it. Dalrymple-Philibert resigned as MP and House Speaker on September 21st last year over the matter. However, she was re-elected to represent Trelawney Southern in a by-election on November 22nd and resumed sitting in the House of Representatives this month. All right, so a big issue here. And so I want to ask the question here, should the JLP have waited for this ruling? All right, so they knew that, they have initiated the process. And as I shared just now by way of this update, Marisa had resigned, all right, last year when this situation came to the fore in the context of the case being brought against her, all right, regarding, her statutory declarations by the Integrity Commission. So on that basis, I guess she resigned as Speaker of the House and also as Member of Parliament for Trelawney, all right, Southern Trelawney. And we recognize just recently that a by-election was held where Marisa was the JLP's candidate and she was re-elected as such as Member of Parliament. So the question here is, should the Prime Minister, the party leader, should he have waited until this outcome? How does this look now for the JLP in the context of this ruling? And let me make this clear. This ruling is not saying that she is innocent or guilty. From my understanding, this ruling is that the judge is saying pretty much there is a case to answer. So I am going to allow this to go to trial. All right. So she has not yet been through that process. So let me make it clear. This is not saying that she's guilty or innocent. What from my understanding here, the judge is saying, based on what is presented before him at the time, there's a case to be answered. All right. So this one should go to trial. That's my understanding there. But given the circumstances, was it a good or bad decision to bring back Marisa Dalrymple-Philibert as Member of Parliament for Southern Trelawney? Should the JLP have waited until this, or, what's the situation? Is there any connection between the two? Would love to hear from you. So I'm going to drop the WhatsApp number in the chat. And Ovi, I am circling you just to see if you have, any views on this one in the context of Marisa Dalrymple-Philibert.
All right. Thank you for circling. This one is really interesting, and the happenings are a little bit, just looking at the fact that she, resigned and then she stepped down from her, government portfolio in terms of that based on this case. It would be good for, the hierarchy of the JLP to, wait until things have been clear in order to get her, back in. So, probably a little bit premature to get her in terms of the by-election. But then I'm looking at it from the standpoint where, persons might want her to represent them. And also, what crossed my mind as well was the fact that, probably based on the evidence and the information that is present, the hierarchy of the JLP is saying that, whenever this goes to trial, we are certain, or we're sure, we have a good feeling that she will be, set free, or the charges will be dropped. So, it's kind of hard to say, but with the question marks over her in terms of this case, then I probably, if I were in the hierarchy, I would say, let's wait this one out. But for them to go above that line of thinking and say, it's okay for you to run in that by-election, it could simply mean that they have enough information, evidence that they, have a good feeling that this one, the charges will be dropped against her. So that's my view on it.
Thank you so much, and some great points there. I feel that the timing of this one is important, and I felt that perhaps they should have waited until this preliminary ruling was made. Even if they feel as if they're going to, or they have enough to say this one is going to work out in our favor. But perhaps, the timing, the political timing of that by-election for Marisa Dalrymple-Philibert perhaps was not well considered in that context. So, that is something that's just my perspective. I don't know what is or was the party's perspective regarding that decision, right? Because when I look at it, really, they have the majority in parliament. So I wasn't too sure why that would have been pressing at the moment. So I don't know if it was like, doing those by-elections was an attempt at perhaps polling certain constituencies to see where they're at in that context, but that is the situation there. All right, so if you're here, I just pinned the WhatsApp number as well as the Zoom link in the chat. So you can definitely, jump in and share. And we ask that you hit the like button, hit the subscription button. All right, and we're here. So again, we're not here to bash or disrespect or belittle anyone. We're just here to share our views in a respectful way and to maintain our safe community, our safe space where we can continue to share and learn from each other. So the
Just
next,
to,
go ahead,
to
go
butt
ahead,
in
Avi.
on as well, I think probably this is what you're alluding to. A kind of a risky move to just get her back in the mix, especially when there's an impending election coming forth as well.
Exactly,
Just not to blemish your garment in any way or form. Just to keep things clean, not giving the opposition per se anything to that could work as ammunition for their campaign. So it's a little
exactly.
strange. It's a little strange, but yes, that's pretty much what I am seeing. But sometimes based on our perspective or lens, we're not seeing it from their eyes, and there must be a rational for the decision. So coming back over to you, but I had to add that little one before you moved on.
Yeah, fantastic and great point there for sure. All right, so we're going to just move right now to the Prime Minister's, or let me just say the Integrity Commission's report on the Prime Minister, all right, in the context of development irregularities. So I am going to go straight to the report. So I am going to show you, all right, how to find, the report. All right, so just to let you know that. So this is the Integrity Commission's, all right, website. And guys, knowledge is power. And so we want you too to go and access this information for yourself. All right. So that's a part of it where you can understand the context for yourself as well. All right. So we're going to go here, and on the site here, we have publications. And so publications, you'll see, let's go again here. You'll see reports, and you'll see annual reports, legacy CPC, commission reports, investigation reports, rulings. We're interested in investigation reports. All right, so you will recognize here that, we have a number of investigation reports, and you can see the latest one there regarding the recovery of outstanding NIS contributions at the Westmoreland Parish office, and perhaps we'll get to that one. And here, the one that we're interested in right now, all right, is concerning irregularities in respect of the construction of a residential development located at 2 Wycliffe Close, Beverly Hills, Kingston 6, contrary to terms of the building permit issued to Estate Bridge Holdings Limited by the KSAMC. All right, so once you come here, you just click on the report and it pops up for you. All right, so this report, I believe, is about 60 something pages. Yeah. And we're just going to go through I guess, some of the very important sections. All right. So just so that you can follow along with us. So we're going to take a look at the executive summary, a little bit of the background, as well as, let me just get this nice and big. All right, so perhaps just a little bit too big here. Right, so we're going to take a look at the executive summary. All right, and perhaps there's somewhere there in chapter 5, background, a little bit of the background, somewhere there in chapter 5 as well, chapter 6 and chapter 7. All right, conclusions, recommendations, and I might go to the appendix 1 perhaps there. All right, so let's just move to the executive summary. And if you're on your phone, you can turn your phone horizontally and it will look a bit bigger, or, crossway. All right, for you there. So we're going to look at this report together. All right. So I know persons, you wanted this. We're finally here to just show you what is happening in this context. And of course, we want to hear from you. So let's look at this. So according to the executive summary, the investigation report was commenced following receipt of a report alleging irregularities in the development and building approval processes related to property owned by the Most Honorable Dr. Andrew Michael Holness, all right? And they say thereafter referred to as Dr. Holness. However, initial inquiries led the investigation to focus on a residential development located at 2 Wycliffe Close, Beverly Hills, Kingston 6, and hereafter referred to as the development, which is owned by Estate Bridge Holdings Limited, hereafter referred to as Estate Bridge. All right. So here, what this first point from this summary sharing is that some report was made to the Integrity Commission. So somebody, anybody, could be anyone from wherever, they're not going to disclose, I guess, reported to the Integrity Commission that Honorable Holness, Prime Minister Holness, that, he was making a property or building a property or, a development, constructing a development, all right, that, was, I guess, against the approval processes, all right? So alleging irregularities. So somebody, this is what the Integrity Commission is saying now, that somebody, or a group shared this information with them. All right. So the next part here, the investigation found that the development was being constructed contrary to the terms of the planning approval and building permits issued by the KSAMC and the Building Act. Whilst planning approval and the building permit were issued for the construction of 4 semi-detached townhouses in two-story buildings consisting of 2-bedroom units at the commencement of the investigation, the erected development consisted of 4 4-bedroom units. So what the report here is sharing is that, okay, permission or approval was granted to construct 4 2-bedroom townhouses, all right? Or, right? And based on what they noted at the commencement of the investigation, I guess what they recognized was 4 4-bedroom units instead of 4 2-bedroom units. All right. So instead of 4 2-bedroom units, we have 4 4-bedroom units, according to this report. All right. So the executive summary is pretty much giving us an overview of the investigation report here. So the DI, so that's the Director of Investigation, concludes that the breaches were deliberate and that the directors of Estate Bridge are liable. The DI also concludes that KSAMC failed to effectively discharge their responsibilities to ensure compliance with the terms of the approvals granted. So what they're saying here is that, hello, Estate Bridge, they were deliberate in constructing 4 4-bedroom, all right, townhouses instead of 4 2-bedroom townhouses, and that KSAMC, so Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation, who has that responsibility in terms of ensuring that the builders or Estate Bridge, comply with the approval processes, they did not do that. All right, so that's what I am getting from here. So recommendations are made with aim to improve accountability and prevent reoccurrence of the issues identified. So that's just an overview of this big report. All right, so Ovi, have any questions so far or any comments you'd like to make or following good?
I am good so far, but I'm happy that the Kingston and St. Anselm municipal, they were called out in terms of not um, ensuring that the building whatever wasn't adhered to. So that's good that they're calling out the institution that should do the checks and balances. And I'm interested to hear what else happens as it relates to this case going forward. So thanks for sharing so far.
All right, good point there in the context of the KSAMC. All right, so just to give you a little aspect of the background here before we move forward. All right, so the background here just gives us a little bit more in terms of, specific context. All right, so here they're saying allegations and initiation of investigation. So on July 10, 2024, so July of this year, all right, the following allegations were received. So this is what whoever the person or the group or the in whoever, reached out to the Integrity Commission to report. So this is the allegation that Mr. Holness, all right, let's just move this up here. I don't know, would the spotlight work for you? Let me just try and get the spotlight. Maybe that works in terms of following. All right, here. So that Mr. Holness is the owner of property on which construction is being carried out, contrary to the terms of the planning approval and building permit granted by the Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation, KSAMC. Now, this appears to be, this is in quotation marks, right? And let's look at the second part, that Mr. Holness often requests the service from his architect to draw a blueprint that will be sent to KSAMC. However, a second blueprint will be drawn that will be used for actual construction. It is said that this was done at one of his developments in Beverly Hills, Cherry Garden. All right, so this is in quotation marks. So I'm suspecting that this came directly from the person or group that made this report to the Integrity Commission. Now, pay attention to the wording of this, and you can take away what you want to take away from that. Because if this is coming from the person or group that directly made the report, there's a lot that you can pull from this quotation here highlighted in this report. All right, so again, just to provide a little bit more background. So again, this report was made to the Integrity Commission on July 10th, all right, 2024. And on July 11th, 2024, so the following day, so the Integrity Commission, they're not joking, they're not playing around. This is quick. So on July 11th, 2024, the Director of Investigation undertook an unannounced visit to the KSAMC to inquire as to whether Dr. Holness had directly or indirectly applied for a building permit for a development in Beverly Hills Cherry Gardens. All right, so they went there not to find out about Wycliffe Close, but to find out about the development in Cherry Gardens, again, based on the fact that this report was made to them. All right, so, and the Director of Investigation decided that they're not going to let the KCMC know that they're coming, so they just show up. All right, show up and I guess inquired. The DI's inquiries revealed that the only development in this area that Dr. Holness was in some way connected with is a residential development located at 2 Wycliffe Close, Beverly Hills, Kingston 6, St. Andrew. And look at the term here, was in some way. All right, so it's not saying that he is connected. So we look at the language, was in some way. And so some definition from the Director of Investigation would be good here. And perhaps it's in this report what he means by was in some way connected. All right. And that this was owned by Estate Bridge. Further inquiries were therefore made into this development and an investigation initiated. So let me just stop to check in the chat here just to see if there are any comments in the chat so far. Not seeing any comments in the chat. And Ovi, I'm going to circle you just to find out if you have anything you'd like to add in here.
I just want to say I'm happy how you're highlighting the language. You know, the language is suggesting that, the PM, he had ties. So, before, what is happening now, he was there. And, that is quite, quite interesting to see the connections that are being made or, are being highlighted. So, interesting going through so far. So still here listening in.
All right, fantastic. Thank you.
Another quick point, though, before you continue, this one just
Sure.
popped in. The fact that they wanted to turn up unannounced, without even I'm not remembering the acronym, the Kingston and St. Andrew
Municipal
um,
corporation.
the
Yeah.
municipal car, yes, without them knowing that they were coming in, that's kind of to me suggesting that they think that, the prime minister probably has those persons in their pocket in a sense, where if they knew that certain things might have been changed. That's just my reasoning. I'm not sure if you get that from what
I don't
happened, but the
I
fact,
don't
the
know
fact that they
because
didn't.
that would be depending upon if they're going to request certain documents, records, or if they're going to just talk to somebody. So it could be a case where they're going to request documents. So in that way, they wouldn't want to let anyone know that they're coming. So, they'll get the documents. But then the other part to this to know too is that, the leadership of the parish council changed. And I don't know if that has anything to do with, the case now or how the DI, showed up at the Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation. If I say parish council, I'm referring to KCMC. All right. And so in that context, so remember the local government elections, so they have the leadership in terms of mayor. And so I don't know if that has anything to do with this investigation or perhaps depending on how the report was made to the IC, they felt that it was important to go there unannounced. I don't know. So just to leave that open there. All right. So as you can see, the following persons were deemed to be pertinent to the investigation, and you'll see the names there in the context of their names and I guess positions. All right, so just so that you have some understanding. And as we go forward, you're going to hear about, especially in the conclusions, you're going to hear about Nesbet, Mr. Nesbet, Mr. Brown, and perhaps Miss Anderson as well. All right, so the directors and shareholders of Estate Bridge. All right, so we're going to see, and Dr. Holness they have here. So this is Mr. Andrew Holness, the legal and beneficial owner of Imperium Investments Holdings Limited, which is a former shareholder of Estate Bridge. All right, so that's the connection that they're making in the context of the prime minister. All right, he was, I guess, Imperium was a former, I guess, shareholder there in Estate Bridge. That is no longer the case, but they are still making that connection. All right, so just to share that with you, those are the terms of reference and, in terms of the investigations, this is pretty much telling, what, happened in terms of, so they served notices on individuals who they believe, were important to the investigation to provide written statements. All right. And let's see here too. Did I miss something here? Okay. And they also recorded, statements from witnesses, so about 10 statements here based on what is shared. 3 unannounced visits were conducted on Thursday, July 11th, so one day after the report was made, Friday, July 12th, and Tuesday, July 23rd, once at the offices of the KSAMC and twice at the site of the development. All right, so they went to the development site unannounced. So they did 2 unannounced visits at the development site and 1 unannounced visit at KSAMC. All right, 2 judges' rules interviews were conducted on November 15th. All right, and the Building Act there, let's see. And they did their thing in terms of review and cross-referencing of statements and supporting documentation. All right. What we're going to go to next is the conclusions, because that is going to be really what the focus is on. Again, you can access this report and you can definitely read through it, all right, to get an understanding. But I want to show you something here on page 25, I believe. All right, so I guess it starts here in terms of the DI's inspections. All right, so the DI executed a warrant on July 12, 2024 at the site of said development. During the course of the DI's inspection, the layout of units was checked against the building permit granted to Estate Bridge, inclusive of the architectural drawings. All right. The DI found that the development was constructed as 4 semi-detached townhouses in 2 two-story buildings, but that there were significant deviations in the construction of the townhouses when juxtaposed with the building plan approved by the KSAMC. All right, so these are the deviations observed. An additional concrete partition wall was constructed in the area labeled as laundry on the split level floor. 2 additional concrete partition walls were constructed, resulting in the conversion of a powder room to a bathroom and an additional bedroom in the area labeled as dining or living room and terrace on the ground floor plan. This also resulted in a reduction in the space approved for the dining, living room, and terrace. All right, so some addition there, an additional concrete partition wall in the area labeled as balcony on the first floor plan. All right, and all the required electrical, plumbing, tiling, and painting works to facilitate modification were also executed. And in total, two, so 2 full bathrooms, all right, and they have, I believe they have some pictures here, were added while the powder room was removed. So the powder room usually just has like a face basin and a toilet bowl. And let's go here. I want to, okay, this is important here. So consequently, each townhouse consisted of 4 bedroom units instead of 2-bedroom townhouses, as was approved by way of the building and or planning permits. All right, it was noted that the required electrical, plumbing, tiling, and painting works for 4-bedroom units were in place. All right. The DI also observed that demolition activities were underway at the development, where a number of the partition walls, which constituted deviations from the approved building plan, were being removed. Upon close inspection of the partition walls that were being demolished, the steelwork seemed to have formed part of the original construction. The photographs below taken on July 12, 2024 evince the observation of the DI. So just so that you can get a you can see the photos that they have here. I'm not an engineer, so I can't interpret this, but based on figure 1 depicting the demolition of an additional concrete partition wall in the laundry room at the split level. All right. And this is another one. Figure 2 depicting the demolition of an additional concrete wall in the living or dining area of the ground floor. So my understanding here, if I am not mistaken, is that, the house was already set for I guess, the 2 bedrooms, but they were removing walls to facilitate the 4 bedroom now conversion. So that's my understanding there. So we're going to just try to move to the conclusions and recommendations. All right, here we go. So let's take a look at the conclusions. But before I do that, let me just take a quick look in the chat here. Avi, any comments?
Well, it's good to see the picture. I'm no engineer either, but it's good to see a pictorial representation of what they're talking about. Probably it would be nice to see some of the electrical and tiling stuff that they mentioned in terms of for accommodating the changes, as they would say, compared to what they approve. So still just absorbing this information and, trying to be as objective in terms of my thinking as it relates to this one. Something that you mentioned earlier in terms of the pop-up inspection too, in terms of the turnaround time, that was pretty fast, and I guess probably that is a standard with the company there. So I think you said the thing went into the commission on the 10th, and they were able to head out the 11th. I'm not sure if
Yes,
my dates are correct,
yes,
but
I
that's
think
a quick
so.
turnaround time, and and obvious. Well, I guess this could be an indication that they have, they're pretty efficient with things that matters that are brought to their attention, or it could be a case where based on the names mentioned in the case, they place that one on the front burner. I'm not too sure because I'm not familiar with them, but it could be a one or the other, where they are pretty fast in terms of dealing with their cases, or it's the profile of the case that determines how fast they act on it.
That's a good point, and I don't know, but a very good point there. So, in the context of the conclusions regarding this investigation, all right, the DI concludes that the requisite planning approval, let me get this spotlight going again so that you can follow here. All right, here we go. The DI concludes that the requisite planning approval and building permit, all right, required for the construction of a development consisting of 4 2-bedroom units located at 2 Waycliffe Close, Beverly Hills, Kingston 6, were properly issued by the KSAMC to Estate Bridge on July 12, 2021. All right. So here the investigator is saying listen, they got a proper permit to construct or develop, all right, 4 2-bedroom units. That's what they got from the KSAMC on July 12, 2021. So I guess they got that plan approved that time. All right, so the next conclusion here, so 6.2, the DI finds that the terms and conditions of the building permit, which was issued by the KSAMC for the development, were breached. So the DI is saying, while the KSAMC issued a proper permit for 4 2-bedroom townhouses, this approval or this permit or the building permit, it was breached. The terms and conditions of it were breached. All right, the DI's conclusion is premised on the fact that at the time of the DI's first inspection, the reference development consisted of 4 4-bedroom townhouses instead of 4 2-bedroom townhouses as approved by the KSAMC. The DI finds that in failing to comply with the terms and conditions of the building permit, all right, so section 17, subsection 1 of the Building Act was breached. All right, so that's what the DI is concluding, that the terms were breached. All right, and let's just go a little bit further here. 6.3, the DI concludes that the inconsistent representations made by Misters, so Misters, just referring to Mr. Brown and Mr. Nesbitt, so more than one male in this context. So the DI concludes that the inconsistent representations made by Mr. Brown and Mr. Nesbitt, so Mr. Brown now is a shareholder, Mr. Nesbitt is by the contractor, in respect of the layout and composition of the development were blatant attempts to mislead the commission. The DI's conclusion is premised on the following. So the DI is saying that these two persons, they misled the commission. So in essence, I guess I made false statements or whatever it is. So on the following, Mr. Brown indicated in a witness statement which he signed and in respect of which he made a declaration of truth on December 4th, 2023, that the development consisted of 4 4-bedroom townhouses. I'm not sure about this date, and I am not going to go back into the middle, so we'll just repeat what's in the conclusion. This statement was made at a time when the DI was not investigating any breaches of the building permit issued to Estate Bridge by the KSAMC, and under circumstances where Mr. Brown was not a suspect. Mr. Brown later made contrary representations in a judge's rules interview convened on October 31st, 2024, after he had been informed that the DI was investigating alleged breaches of the Building Act and the reference permit that he was a suspect. Oh, understood there. So that was previous to now. All right, so let us see, we're getting a caller here.
Hello.
Just a moment here, caller. Let me just try and get you through the system.
Is this program live right now?
Yes, we're live. Hello, caller. I know I'm not sure why it's not coming through the system. Just give me a second here to figure out why. All right, go ahead, caller. Hold on. Let me just call you. Let me just call you back to get it through the system. All right, now it sounds through the system. Let me just get back to this caller. So thanks for your patience, guys. Yes, caller, you should be good now.
Okay. Um, that report you are reading, most of it have been debunked. Do you know that?
Talk to us, caller. We want to hear your views.
No, it's not a matter of views. I'm listening to you to get information. Okay? What you are reading now is practically stale news. It's an accusation, and an investigation was done, and the IC made a report. Okay? All of what is in that, most of what is in that report has been debunked as false. The IC knew from in the first IC report, it is in it that Andrew Holness does not have anything to do with the particular company anymore. It's in the first report when they spoke about his 28 bank account.
Yes.
It is. So for them to come now and link in I'm not defending the prime minister, okay? I'm neither of any party, but what I'm saying, let truth manifest. The same IC in its report, in another report says Andrew Holness does not own that company. He gave it to his son. And then they're coming back this year to say Andrew Holness have some link to the property. That is false. And it is a normal thing for us as adults to put our kids' name on our account, to pass on business to our kids. Mark Golden has done it. The reason why we cannot know about Mark Golden, what he has basically done for his kids, and he has 1,000,000% right to do it, and I support him to do it because I do the same thing for my kids. But Mark Golden assets are locked away in a British island in a trust, and the IC cannot access that trust. I would love you to pull up Mark Golden statutory declaration from the IC. It says real estate, 0. He doesn't own anything in Jamaica. Nothing. It's a company in a British island own the house that he lives in. He might be the owner, along with his son, of the company in the British Virgin Island. But the property is, the registration of the trust is in another country. So that is why nobody can talk about Mark Golden's assets. And I'm saying this report you are reading, you need to jump forward. That's why I ask if this program is live.
No, we're live, but listen, caller, listen.
Yes, sorry.
Listen, perhaps I don't know at what point you join this conversation. So,
Okay.
we started with, Marisa, and we started with the report, and we're also highlighting certain language that was used in the report. So it's not as if that we are presenting this report in a one-sided way. And also, I am going to go to what the Prime Minister shared in the context of this report. And so it's not this program is not a political program by any means.
No, I guess what? I don't care if it's political. I don't care if a program linked to PNP or JLP.
No,
They're all Jamaicans to me.
and that's it. We're Jamaicans.
I support your right. I support your right to be on any side, whoever they want to be. All I'm simply saying. What I'm hearing is, because I'm abreast of the news. And yes, I came in late on the program, so maybe I should just stay on the side and listen some more. I don't know if I'll have the time to listen everything till you reach there, but where we are, where the country is at now, because TVJ published.
Please don't call apology, all right, but don't call anybody's name. Yeah.
So the fact, what happened now is because all of that is in the background. You have some people, what you're fueling and you do not know. In reading this report like that and taking so long, there are persons gonna walk away that Andrew Holness, I put a 4-bedroom place.
No. I think because they're joining this conversation late, it's not, because we looked at the language where it says, was, and we talk about the fact that, the shares are no longer in Estate Bridge. So I think that you joining at this point is fueling something that is not here.
Okay, I will apologize to you, ma'am, because it's not about politics for me. It's about the truth. Okay? And to see you reading it out, I'm saying this is still news.
No, but I am reading what is there, and we have a community here that is also depending on us to share. And so because we have been doing quite a lot in terms of programming, we're just getting this opportunity to come here, but we are reading what this is straight from the IC's website, by the way. So we are not adding or whatever or fueling anything, and we always give people all the sides, and you draw your conclusions from that.
I will never. It's the first time I'm listening to your program. I just stumbled on it, click on that, and I said, let me call. It's the first time listening to your program, and I do not accuse somebody saying that because your opinion is such, you are PNP or JLP. I don't do that. We are all Jamaican. We are all in this thing for one purpose. And if it's discussing the Prime Minister and blasting him, I'm ready to do that. Because it's all about my investment in my country must be rising. Okay? That's what I look at. The country must be developing.
Yeah,
but I know the Prime Minister now is under a lot of attack in respect of corruption. What I ask my fellow Jamaicans to do, stop just use the word corruption. I want to know what he did. Because if you are working somewhere and they say, oh, we're going to fire you because of corruption, you're going to ask them, what corruption? Yes. Tell me what I did.
There has to be the evidence to support that claim.
Definitely. So, but person think I'm supporting Andrew. I'm saying, no, come with the facts. Let me join you to get rid of that man, the Prime Minister, if he's putting his hand in our cookie jar. Okay? I've heard people saying this little boy from Spanish Town never have no money before him going to politics. Know him have money. Come on, we're all Jamaican.
We don't go along those lines, Carla. So we here, we try not to defame. We don't defame people. And we present, and that is something that we say, and again, because you weren't here from the start, we say, listen, we understand that we share different views, and it is totally okay because we can learn from each other, but we don't defame, disrespect, belittle anybody, whether JLP, PNP, no P, because it is important that we understand too that there is responsibility in the context of what we share. There is something called defamation, and we need to understand that. And so while we have our views, we have to be responsible as well, right? And so, and for me, it's okay to criticize somebody without being rude and disrespectful and defaming a particular person. I am not for that. And so, and we have to set that example for our future generations to follow. It is okay to have, your voice, but you need to understand too that with rights comes responsibilities.
Yeah, that's true. You know, I'm just tired of seeing my own fellow Jamaican talking stupidity without talking things where there are no facts. Everybody is running with a certain narrative. And when I ask them, what did he do? Nobody can tell me what this man has done. Okay, nobody. I said to them, look at the development going on in the country. I am 60 February next year. In my 60 years in Jamaica, I've never seen government have so many contracts throughout the country. The question I want to ask Andrew is where him thieving the money from to pay for those projects? Because he has reduced tax, he has increased public sector wage, okay? And I'm seeing he's spending more on development. Where the heck is he getting that money from? That's the question we should be asking. That's what we should be trying to find out. How is he doing those development? Is the money coming out of his pocket? Nobody look at that in that way, because if he's stealing the money from us, how can he be building those projects?
Yeah, I am not along. I am not along those lines of, we just use what is there and try to present a balanced perspective. So I don't know at what point you got it, but never along those lines. Never along those lines.
Let me just butt in
For
here.
what I would consider.
Hold on, my co-host is going to jump in and say something to you. Go ahead, co-host.
Yes, Tom Caller, thank you for joining in. And, it's good to know that we have, fellow Jamaicans who reason this thing out on a Jamaican basis and not necessarily a partisan basis. And, that's what our platform is about equity. We reason things out, we deal with the facts, and, that's how we progress. As my co-host said, it's not about defaming anyone or being aligned with any party. It's about the facts and just being able to, have the information readily available for us to make informed decisions. So we're happy that you are of that view, and we're happy that you have stumbled on the channel. And we don't want you to only stumble, hit the like button, hit the
Yeah, you
subscription
missed
button.
it. Don't
So
only stumble.
yes, man, because we need more persons like you coming forth and
I
standing up.
won't guarantee I will be available for each live
That's
because
okay.
of my work schedule. If you notice my number, I'm not in Jamaica, you know,
That's
but
okay.
I feel like I'm in Jamaica the way how I follow the what you say now, the affairs of my country.
Okay.
Let me not use the word politics. The affairs, because the affairs of my country includes Mark Golden and Andrew Holness, the two big men in the country. I have a lot of questions for Mark Golden. I've heard him lied on TV saying that he joined a line to get his visa to go to England.
All right, let's leave that one alone.
Okay.
Let's leave that one alone.
No, hold on. I know you just a little bit. I met a young lady at work last night. She's born in America. And when I said, she asked me if I'm Jamaican. I said, yeah. She said, she's Jamaican too. Her dad, born in Jamaica. She speaks straight American. She has a Jamaican passport and an American passport. She's born in America. If I have a child born in America, shortly after, I'll be getting him a Jamaican passport. So if a British citizen, if a British man have a kid in Jamaica, one of the first things he's gonna do is to get a passport for his child for the country he's from. So for that man to be telling me, sorry to say that man, Mr.
Yes,
Golden,
refer to it,
telling
Mr.
me,
Golding, yes.
Yeah, tell him, cause no disrespect. For him to telling me that he joined a line at the British Embassy to look at visa to go to England, that's preposterous. No father would allow his child to go to, and if he to do that, and as a matter of fact, once he presents his birth certificate to the embassy, they're gonna realize that he's British. Because they're gonna see his father name. So for him, I'm telling you must have seen that program.
We did that. We did that some time ago in terms of talking about that. So yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
But you are going good. I will apologize again for what I think I attack you guys. I'm just gonna leave, hang up, and continue to listen.
All right. Thank you so much for calling. Blessings and love.
Your respect. Bye.
All right. All right. So thanks, caller, for calling and sharing with us. All right. So let us see if we can just continue here with the conclusions from this Integrity Commission's report. And so I think we're here with Mr. Nesbitt. All right. So they're saying Mr. Nesbitt's contemporaneous verbal statement to the DI's investigator on July 12, all right, that there were departures from the building permit issued by the KSAMC and that efforts were being made to remedy the breaches. All right, he later denied making this statement. And let's move down here. The DI's inspection on July 12, 2024 revealed that the development as constructed consisted of four-bedroom townhouses. The DI's findings are consistent with Mr. Brown's indication on December 4, 2023 as to the number of bedrooms contained in the development. All right. And here, the DI therefore further concludes that the breaches identified of the building permit on the part of Estate Bridge were deliberate. The DI's conclusion is made on the basis that at least one director, Mr. Norman Brown, had knowledge prior to December 4, 2023, when he gave a statement to the Commission that the development consisted of four-bedroom townhouses. It is to be noted that Mr. Brown himself stated that he has a supervisory function in relation to the development, and Ms. Anderson indicated that Mr. Brown is the director that is generally responsible for Estate Bridges business operations. So, of it, like, this is out there now, and if it is that, you know, the director of investigation got this solid, right, as how they put it here in their conclusion, that Mr. Brown himself, you know, according to the report here, stated that he has supervisory function, right, and Miss Anderson supported that, you know, Mr. Brown is pretty much the director that is generally responsible for Estate Bridges business operation. How come we have the Prime Minister attached here? I don't know. That's my question there. If you can definitively make this in your conclusion. And so why not target Mr. Brown directly? And in that context are the directors of Estate Bridge, you know. And so while the connection is there, or former connection, and while Mr. Holness have his son, I mean, was he the one who went and got that permit? Estate Bridge, like, his name is not there. I am not sure how in this context, if they can definitively state here that Mr. Brown himself stated that he has a supervisory function in relation to the development. I don't know, Ovi, do you have any views on this here or thoughts?
Well, the link is hard to make here, and it's as you said, the development developer, the hierarchy of the development, they are the persons who, should be targeted in that regard. So it's a bit strange that the connections are, they're trying to make those connections with the prime minister based on the findings.
All right. Thanks. All right. So let's just continue here. The DI also finds that Mr. Nesbitt, so that's the contractor, I believe, either conspired with or aided and abetted the directors of Estate Bridge in the commission of the foregoing breach and is thereby equally liable for said breach. The DI's conclusion is premised on the fact that by virtue of Mr. Nesbitt's role as contractor, it is reasonable to infer that he must have been cognizant of the terms and conditions of the permit granted by the KSAMC. Furthermore, Mr. Nesbitt's company is a party to a construction contract with Estate Bridge, which requires him as contractor to construct the development in accordance with the building permit. And in his statement dated October 16, 2024, Mr. Nesbitt indicated that, and I quote, I designed the building plan for the development for submission to the KSAMC. Each unit would consist of 4 habitable rooms, a pool on the split level, 4 bathrooms, a laundry and storage area. All right. And let's take a look at 6.6. The DI concludes that KSAMC failed in their duty to ensure compliance with the terms and conditions of the building permit issued to Estate Bridge for the development. Though their paperwork relating to the 3 inspections they conducted suggests that the development was compliant at all stages, the DI's inspection of the development belie this. All right, so that's pretty much the conclusions, and they made some recommendations. So in the context of the recommendations, the DI recommends that the Chief Executive Officer of the KSAMC implements additional measures to ensure adherence to the provisions outlined, all right, in the requisite sections of the Building Act in relation to its inspections and post-permit monitoring responsibilities or functions. And the DI recommends that the KSAMC conduct an administrative review of its existing compliance regime with respect to building permits issued by that entity. The review should include a capacity assessment both at the adequacy of the human resources available to the KSAMC for post-permit monitoring of building developments within the municipality's jurisdiction, as well as the technical competencies of the officers responsible for enforcement and compliance. Serious consideration should be given to ensure that the relevant processes are corruption proof. All right, 7.3. Given the breaches identified in respect of the development, the DI recommends that the KSAMC make their own assessment of same and thereafter take any actions as are necessary and appropriate to achieve compliance with the Building Act. And 7.4. And this is, let me just read it first. Notwithstanding Dr. Holness's connection to the development in question, having regard to the fact that the issues identified in this matter are similar to those identified by the DI in one of its 2023 investigation reports, and they have the title here, the DI reiterates the recommendations made generally in that report. In particular, the DI highlights the following recommendations from the reference report. The Most Honorable Prime Minister and the Honorable Minister of Local Government and Community Development, in light of the breaches found herein and the need to ensure that the development occurs within the built environment in a sustainable manner, the DI recommends the introduction of legislation which imposes pecuniary penalties. So this is like monetary penalties, financial penalties on developers who willfully violate building and development permits for financial gain. More particularly, profits attributable to breaches should be forfeited. Additionally, developers should also face debarment in respect of planning and developmental approval for an appropriate time period post-breach and require collaboration and coordination between the Registrar of Titles, local authorities, and other germane entities in a way which ensures that the titles are not issued for developments which are constructed in breach of planning, building, and development permit. And additionally, the DI would ordinarily refer this matter to the Director of Public Prosecutions. However, given the ruling of the DPP in the matter mentioned at paragraph 7.4 above, hereafter referred to as the Charlemont matter, the DI recommends that this report be referred to the KSAMC for appropriate action. In a ruling by the DPP dated January 10, 2024, inter alia, so among other things, the following was indicated. And so this is the ruling. It is considered view of the ODPP that the matter be referred to the KSAMC to conduct an administrative review in accordance with the provisions of the Building Act, and consequent upon the result of this administrative review, it would be a matter purely within the remit of the KSMC to decide whether an invitation is to be issued to the JCF to conduct an investigation into possible breaches of the said Building Act. And let's see here, Section 78 would oblige the KSMAC to spare the investigative process and make a determination whether they will follow up on the fruits of the investigation such that they are further mobilized to initiate prosecution in what would be a viable case. If they take the view that they are not minded to issue a fixed penalty notice, they may then invite the JCF to assist them in the administration of their investigative functions and place the matter before the court so the ingredients of the offense can be proved to the requisite standard. It would therefore be open to the KSAMC and they alone, depending on the result of their administrative review, to initiate criminal proceedings or activate the fixed penalty regime in accordance with the section. All right. And here they say the Charlemont matter was referred to the DPP after consultation with the Director of Corruption Prosecution, who had indicated that our prosecutorial remit does not extend to such matters. So in essence here, this is something for KCMC. And again, if we go to this language here, where is it? Where he mentions the so notwithstanding Dr. Holness's connection to the development in question. What's the connection? Because we started out where the language was, right? And no, they haven't proved like, I mean, the middle is there, but what's the connection? Be explicit. We can't get that connection even in the recommendation here. So that's pretty much the report basically, and they have the appendix here in terms of, you know, a statement, and I believe this is the engineer here who did some of the inspection. All right, so just so that I guess they have that there as well. And again, we showed these photos earlier of what's the situation. But in a sense, that's the report there. All right, and again, you can find this report as I showed you and other reports on the IC's website. So, Ovi, I'm going to come over to you and just to get a sense of your views at this point. And I'm going to look in the chat.
Yes. So yes, thanks for swinging back. Just love the point in terms of, allowing the Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation, just for them to sharpen up their system of governance of building construction. I like that part of it for sure. That was a good recommendation, I believe. But as I said, I'm not seeing the strength of the case that they're putting forward against the PM. But I will just leave it at that and see how things move forward. And I'm just hoping that it's not a case of victimization in any way or form. But as I said, I don't know in terms of what they're alluding to, and I await further information coming forward.
Yeah, I believe they have what has happened too is that the Integrity Commission, they have, I think the KSAMC, because I believe the mayor put out a statement that is waiting for a report. So we are waiting to hear back in that context. But what we know for sure is that the Prime Minister, you know, pretty much said, no. And again, having those perspective in the context of the same day that he was getting the ruling in terms of the judicial review from that previous report. And by the way, he was successful in terms of moving forward on some important counts, concerning his statutory declarations, and that was pretty much the same within that time period that this report was submitted, to Parliament. So, in that context, we see a lot of issues, you know, where the Prime Minister is saying, I am distancing myself from this. I have nothing to do with this. So why? How am I in this pretty much? And I am going to pull up let me see if I can find this recording to play for you guys. All right. In the context of what the Prime Minister shared, and also in the context of what Norman Brown shared. I'm just trying to get to that information. Just give me a second here, because Norman Brown pretty much, rejected most of those findings. So I am just trying here to get that information. I'm just trying to locate my information here, but I'll get to it. So again, as I shared the KSAMC, according to them, they are reviewing the IC report on building breach, based on what was shared there in the context of the report. And I'm just coming, guys. And I know the Information Minister, Dana Morris, and I'm just going to try. I don't know why I can't find my stuff, but I'm coming. shared that they are supporting the Prime Minister 100%. And we have seen, as the caller mentioned, persons or media houses retracting statements. Even though when I read that apology, there was still something more that they needed to have done because they still had the allegation there as if it wasn't an allegation. So I wasn't too happy with that, but it is what it is in that context. And I feel that once they have done something wrong, you need to do it, ensure that you're doing it in the right way. That should be front and center all the time. All right, Ovi, could you just take on here a little bit while I just try and get these things set up so I can just go through here. So yes, guys, the WhatsApp number is still on and the Zoom link, you can jump in and share your views. We can perhaps take another one or two there in this context before we wrap this one up. All right, so, and let me just get to this important message before I totally forget. So much things to talk about. So it's regarding the Integrity Commission, by the way, and I'm going to tell you what is being reported. And don't tell me that I can't find that. What can go so? So pretty much in the context of the Integrity Commission, what I saw was that some of the top persons there, their term is coming to an end. So for some persons between February to July of next year. So that's pretty much that in a nutshell. All right, that there is going to be some changes there coming to the Integrity Commission. I don't know, Hobby, how do you feel about that in the context of that update? I'm not sure who will be going, so that's what I was trying to find out here, but some changes are coming to the IC because terms are coming to an end, and so I guess those persons won't be reinstated, I suspect. So we'll see what happens in that context for sure.
Well, I guess that's how life is too, where, terms are started and terms are finished and new persons will come into the position. But, in essence, regardless of what happens, my thing is that persons who are coming in, you want them to execute to the best of their abilities. So, make sure that what they're doing is fair and just. And once they are, dealing with things or, addressing issues accordingly, then, that would be my greatest wish. So, hopefully it's a change for the better. And, we thank the persons who have, who are in that now. I would just hope that things will continue to improve in the IC and, in general in the country as well. So let's hope that the changes will make things better in all sense.
All right, so according to the Gleaner update, the 7-year terms for two commissioners, Chairman Justice Seymour Panton and Eric Crawford, will end in February 2025. Justice Panton, a retired president of the Court of Appeal, and Crawford, a chartered accountant, are original commissioners, having been appointed on February 26, 2018. The same year the agency started operations, Panton became chairman in 2019. Executive Director Greg Christie lawyer and former contractor general, who leads the day-to-day operations of the commission, was sworn into office on May 18, 2020. His 5-year tenure is set to expire next year. And 3 other directors were also nearing the end of their terms. They are Director of Corruption Prosecution, Keisha Prince Kamika, who was sworn in on March 2024, 2020, Kevin Stevenson, the Director of Investigation, who was sworn in on May 18, 2020, and Craig Beresford, who took his oath on July 14, 2020, as Director of Information and Complaints. They are all eligible for reappointment. Justice Panton confirmed that his tenure would end on February 25, but declined to say whether he is interested in serving another term. It would be inappropriate for me to disclose my intention or wish as regards reappointment before communicating same to His Excellency the Governor General, he said in a response to the Gleaner. Asked to assess his tenure and chairmanship, Panton said any assessment of the Commission's performance will only be done after I have left the Commission. In response to questions about whether the 4 directors had expressed interest in continuing, Panton said there will be no comment at this time re the tenure of any commissioner or director. The prospect of leadership changes gained further attention on Friday after Senate President Tom Tavares Finson disclosed a message he had sent at the Commission's request, but the Commission rejected it. Let me just leave it there. And the senator dismissed the allegation, arguing that he had been gagged. It would be a significant boost to perceive fairness and the anti-corruption fight in Jamaica should the current composition of the Integrity Commission be reconstructed. Tavares Finson read from the statement that was done for a newspaper supplement to mark International Anti-Corruption Day last week. So based on what I'm getting and what was shared, the commission did not share his statement. So he criticized the commission's credibility, claiming that it had suffered a near mortal blow, citing the slow rate at which issues were addressed and alleged anti-government and inflammatory comments made by the commission's leadership. Opposition leader Mark Golding has defended the commission, describing Tavares Finson's comments as unfortunate and wholly inappropriate. It comments adversely and in my view, very unfairly on specific individuals at the commission in ways which may well not be factual. So that's Mark Golding. All right. According to Mr. Golding, the Senate President's statement was a continuation of the unfortunate patterns of attack on the commission from various JLP politicians. All right, so the tensions reflect an ongoing friction between parliamentarians and the commissions, particularly members of the Andrew Holness administration, over issues such as the handling of a 2022 report involving Mr. Holness, investigations into lawmakers' alleged illicit enrichment, and a probe into the Prime Minister's finances. All right, so those are pretty much. And so last week, I guess, following the release of the IC report that mentioned the Prime Minister, Mr. Holness asserted that there was a transparent attempt to attack his reputation. All right, so the commission, they have kept silent in that context. Sorry, the commission has not kept silent. However, with Chairman Panton leading its defense, he declared in September that the anti-corruption agency would not be frightened by threats. All right. So just some, additional context there. And we know, this has been happening. And now I'm just going to try and see if I can go to at least play it for you. Let's see if we can get that going. I don't know, my things are just not coming up when I need them to come up. But let me just do a quick check in the chat, guys. I'm Ed Cook and Bottle Washer on this side, so just forgive me if I am not checking into the chat. And I know some persons are still here. Thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate, you being here and, listening, even though Leroy, welcome. My question, when did Jamaicans require a visa to travel to, I guess, the UK? I don't know, Leroy, but that's something that I guess a quick Google could give us. Let me just see if I can pull up Dana here. For some reason, it's just not coming up. All right, let me just keep searching. Hopefully, it comes up because I really wanted to play this. But let's see here. Let's just try again if I can find Dana stuff. For some strange reason, I am not getting the clip that I want from Dana. Okay, I find it now. So I'm going to play this for you guys. So pretty much what, Dana Morris shared in terms of information minister, she's the information minister as well as education. But I guess in our position as the information minister, we in the cabinet stand with the prime minister on this matter. All right, and we're going to go to this clip. So let's just listen for this one, guys. All right. So let's go to this one.
Clear in his prime minister was very clear in his statement, and the report was tabled yesterday in the House. I have not had a chance to go through it, and so I know we'll be reviewing it throughout the course of the day. But the prime minister's statement was very clear. He said many things. He thought that this was a transparent attempt at attacking his character. He was very clear on that. And I know that we in the cabinet, we stand with the prime minister on this matter. And these are definitely matters that are before the court. And so I try not to speak about matters that are before the court. But the prime minister in his statement was very clear that he was not a director, he's not a shareholder, and he doesn't own the property. That was very clear in his statement, and that is what I would like to be reported. I do note that there were some reports overnight that had said things different than that. And I note that this morning there are some editorial notes under some of those reports, which means that individuals are now clarifying previous reports that had been made. It is really important, especially when we're dealing with someone's integrity and character, that we get the stories right and that we don't issue statements that are not completely accurate. And I see the reports being corrected, and I'm very happy for that. And I thank members of the media who have been correcting their stories overnight. That's important. But the Prime Minister was very clear about his relationship with this company and his surprise that he would have been named in it. And as I said, we'll be reviewing the report and we'll make additional statements thereafter.
Hear from CVM. Just to follow up to that, Minister, can the Prime Minister effectively lead when his name has been linked to so many adverse IC findings?
I think the Prime Minister can definitely lead. And if you see what is happening, he is leading. He's leading our country very well. As I started this post-cabinet press briefing, I spoke about our unemployment rate at record low.
All right, so that was Dana Morris Dixon. All right, so the information minister and also minister of education. All right, and so that is important to know there too. All right, so in the context that she shared and the prime minister was clear, he's not a shareholder, he's not the owner of the property. He has nothing to do with that. And so that for me would concern, any well-thinking citizen, in that context. And then just going through the report, as I shared earlier with you, in terms of some of the language was not clear. It's as if you're saying, oh, we're going to try to find a way to, attach you to something here. So for me, and just, when you think about, and I spoke earlier, and as Dana there mentioned, it's important to, when you think about person's character, we have to be careful in that context. And I am not too sure when we think about persons from the Integrity Commission that should know the law and should know how to report certain things in terms of how you're going to put that in writing. And so, I'm not seeing language, for example, it is likely that, it's as if there is the investigator is, it's like you're doing the investigation, you're making the conclusion, you're doing the recommend. Nothing is wrong with doing that, but it's as if the powers are not separated. Like you're the police, you're also the judge, you're going to, and jury, all in one. So you're not presenting it like presenting your findings to someone else in the Integrity Commission to kind of say, okay, this is the conclusion that we're going to draw from this. And perhaps that's an issue that going forward, maybe, the government or legislators, they need to look at, let me say legislators, they perhaps need to look at. And I don't know how they're going to look at it, at this point in a very, let us say, clear way where persons aren't thinking that, oh, you're trying to do this because your party is under the microscope or, so we'll have to get past all this really in terms of getting to a place where there is some, sense some good sense that can prevail, because it can't be that you have somebody who is also collecting evidence, and making conclusion. It would be like, for example, the police, they come and collect the evidence and do everything, and then they come and decide that you're going to spend the rest of your life in prison, right? Or they decide that you don't have a right to life, so they're going to take you out. They made that decision. So I think there's too much perhaps power concentrated in the director of investigations role. That's just my little 2 cents. And perhaps they need to kind of split that where you have an investigator and then this is moved to somebody else along the lines. I don't know. So Ovi, I'm just going to come over to you for Any final comments that you have about this one? If you're still here with us.
Yeah, I'm still here. I'm just hoping and trusting that this will be pacified soon, and the intentions to be clear. And what if somebody is doing something right, then you'd want that to be dealt with. But we don't want anybody to be attacking anybody's character wrongfully. So hopefully everything is pacified soon and things can get back to normal for all the parties involved.
Oh, for sure. Thank you. So this is something that we'll keep an eye out, and we'll definitely provide you the updates as best as we can when we can, because as you know, we do quite a lot in terms of programs here. And so again, if this is your first time here, we welcome you to the Voices in Education platform. This is a safe space where we share and learn from each other. Again, we do it in a respectful way, so we do not bash or belittle anyone, all right, to ensure that we're maintaining our safe space, our safe community. All right, and so I want to thank you so much for keeping it real and respectful. And we kindly ask that you support us the best way you can by liking, sharing, subscribing, and we also want to hear from you. So if you'd like, a topic that you'd like to discuss, you can send us a WhatsApp message. The number is pinned in the chat, or you can also send us an email via thevoicesineducation@gmail.com. We want to hear from you. All right. And so also to something that you can look forward to is our election watch episode. We kind of started that, and we're going to pick up on that as the tempo of the election, I guess, get on its way. So we're going to get back into that. Just we're waiting to, I think a part of that is that we're waiting for, candidates to be finalized more so on the JLP side of things. So we're going to look at, take it constituency by constituency and just talk and hear your views, hey or nay, who you believe. And again, this is just our views. So who you believe is going to win, and we keep it real, interactive, and respectful so that we can learn from each other. And when the results come, we'll be here so we can look at our, match up to that. So again, thank you so much for sticking and staying with us and for tuning in. And if this is your first time here, welcome to the Voices in Education. And we look forward to having you back here. Blessings and love, everyone. And I'll see you in the next live. Bye for now.
Thank you.